Real Railroads, Episode 20, St. Mary's Railroad. This one's going to be short. There isn't much on this railroad. Located in the far southeast corner of Georgia is 11-mile short line St. Mary's Railroad. This railroad was built to serve a paper mill in St. Mary's, which closed in 2002. Today, they ship 1,100 carloads annually and move an additional 2,000 per year in and out of storage. The railroad was completed by the St. Mary's and Kingsland Railroad on October 24, 1906. It became the Atlantic Waycross and Northern Railroad in 1918, owned by Southern Fertilizer and Chemical Company of Savannah, Georgia. They sold the railroad to Gillen Paper Company, St. Mary's Craft Corporation, in 1939, who named it St. Mary's Railroad. In 1955, they built a 4-mile spur from St. Mary's north of the Army Ammunition Storage Facility. This is now owned by the U.S. government, and the facility is now the Kings Bay Naval Submarine Base. The railroad was acquired by Durango Paper Company in 1999 and was renamed the Durango Railroad, but didn't change rolling stock or reporting marks. Durango closed down in 2002 after $200,000 in OSHA fines resulting from 2 accidents. In 2007, the railroad came under the umbrella of Boatwright Companies, which still owns the railroad today. SM owns an MP-15T and a GP-15-1 that are ex-lease units, and either own or lease a pair of former NS MP-15DCs. They also share rails with a tourist operation, the Georgia Coastal Railway, which does 2 trips each Saturday, except during the Catfish Festival. I'm assuming that's the fish, not a female. Or male, or whoever's catfishing. The SM interchanges the First Coast Railroad in the FCRD Kingsland Yard in Kingsland, Georgia. It then runs on a joint siding along the FCRD main until just south of West Williams Avenue, where the SM curves east, crossing US 17 and a few other grade crossings and paralleling Route 40, crossing under I-95 and through the commercial area outside of Kingsland. Approaching St. Mary's, Georgia, there is a siding used for railcar storage, and it goes under St. Mary's Road. Shortly after the U.S. government trackage branches off to the north, and SM Rails continues southeast into St. Mary's. After the branch is 2 sidings for railcar storage and then a bridge causeway at the St. Mary's River. The first industry is Georgia Pacific, which makes extruded board and receives boxcars and covered hoppers. This is a lead with 2 tracks on the tail that enter the side. This has the lead and an outside track for covered hoppers and 2 inside tracks. The other side of the building is a Y with 2 tracks on the tail that enter the building as well. This plus the yard is along Boral Boulevard with Julia Street passing the industry itself. This building is also home to Box Board Packaging, which also receives covered hoppers and boxcars. Beyond this, the tracks continue to parallel Boral Boulevard. When the street curves away, there is a large Y that is not used to turn locomotives. Instead, it's used for car storage, and car is not spotted at the SM transload. The museum and Georgia Coastal Railway ticket office are at the end of the line at Route 40. The tracks of the naval base are owned by the USG, according to what I found online, but they are evidently operated by the St. Mary's Railroad. The naval base is immaculately maintained right away, with several sidings and multiple spurs throughout the base and a couple of Ys. The rails never actually reach the waterfront, instead serving other sections of the base. This has been a short video, but there isn't much I could find on it. It's a very simple railroad with really only 2 industries, and not very big ones. The paper mill not only is closed, but is completely gone. Looking at Google Maps, you can see where it was beyond the museum along the shore of the St. Mary's River. It was a large place, similar in size to the paper mill or the pulp mill in Fernandina Beach that the FCRD serves. Next week, I'll be covering a hopefully more interesting railroad, the Florida Gulf and Atlantic.